My name is Rachel. I won't tell you my last name.
Say it deeper.
My name is Rachel. I won't tell you my last name.
Oh, God.
None of us will.
I'm a typical American. My name is Rachel. I am an Animorph. Please cut all this racist stuff. They can't tell you their names. They can't tell you where they live, but in the mid to late 90s, these 5 teenagers can turn into animals to fight an invading army of evil brain slugs. 5 dumb teens are the only thing standing in the way of complete annihilation. This is Animorphing Time with Nate and Tyler. Get your hand off my girlfriend, you yeerk-brained bastard!
This is for Daddy. Make it like half the bottle.
Catherine Alice Applegate wouldn't want this. Doesn't want this.
He gets really, really aroused every time he kills someone with his scorpion tail.
Oh man, being 12 was weird.
Alright, should we start this thing? I need to go home eventually.
I know you need to go home, so I guess we'll start.
Alright.
We'll open up our bottle of Tempranillo.
Pop up in that vino.
Spanish wine.
What year is this fine drink?
2016. Got it at a little place called Bo's Wine Depot.
That's my dog's name.
That is your dog's name. The guy kind of looked like your dog.
Yeah, kind of scared, shaking all the time.
Kind of scared. It's like this 70-year-old guy.
Constantly cold. So let's take a sip and then compare it to the book that we read.
Okay, here we go.
This is
my cup says "Sassy Since Birth." Mm-hmm. Yours is "The Boss."
Yeah, this is wine dads. Even though none of us are fathers.
We're wine dads with no kids.
Yeah, this is a story.
Single wine father.
Yeah, this is a dad book. I think this book is about dads. So let's drink this wine to all the daddies out there.
We read the same book, and here's to the daddies.
Here's to the daddies.
So, we've got our wine. Let's do it. Welcome to Animorphin Time with Nate and Tyler. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Tyler.
Oh.
That's, You're hearing Nate. And, like I said, this is Animorphin Time, episode 2.
Okay. This book, like this wine, has a great mouthfeel.
Oh, yeah. I was supposed to... did you hear the tannins? That's good.
Yeah, that's good tannins. Oaky notes. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
You're supposed to wash it around, swishing mouthwash.
Let's swish.
And then spit it out.
Shall we get into the book?
Yeah.
So this is Animorphs, Book 2, The Visitor by Catherine Alice Applegate.
Okay.
Our tagline today: no one knows who they are.
Some people know.
Some people. Yes. There's a guy from Book 1 they never mention again. It's fine. We'll get into that. Tell us what's on the cover of this Animorphs, Nate.
Well, it's Rachel, who looks a lot older than I thought Rachel was.
Yeah.
How old is Rachel in these books? 14?
See, in this book, they mention, oh yeah, for her 12th birthday, we blah, blah, blah. They mentioned 12th birthday and say, that was a few years ago. And it's okay, so they're 15?
They're high schoolers, right?
Yeah.
They're in high school, but, early high school. They're doing square roots and stuff, so that's a high school thing.
Yeah.
So
that's high school stuff. We were good at math. We know where high school is at math.
High school kids love square roots. But yeah, she looks well into her 20s on this cover.
Yeah, she does. She's
maybe just her experiences have aged her. Like a presidency. Just a couple of weeks being an Animorph, man, really gets to you. It really ages you. You grow up quick.
Yeah. So where are we compared to the last one? Last one, they met an Andalite. Gave them the power to morph.
Right.
And now it's been a few weeks.
It starts with them. Well, first off, it starts with Rachel doing the dumb, letter to the future thing.
Uh-huh.
Which I imagine is just going to be a thing for the first couple of books as we focus on each character. I know the next book's about Tobias. He'll probably write a dumb letter.
Yeah, it's mostly squaw!
Yeah.
That's our Tobias book.
Right? Squawkity squawk. Turns out his human brain left. He's just a bird.
He's just all bird now.
Yeah.
So catch us up. What's happened so far in the Animorphs?
Do you want to go over the previous book?
Well, just quickly, because they do it in the first 3 chapters of this fucking book, so we might as well do it too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here I'll read up.
Yeah. Start us out.
Okay. So I'm just gonna do the kind of warning to the future passage, which is the first paragraph.
I love it.
Okay. Here we go. My name is Rachel. I won't tell you my last name. None of us will ever tell you our last names. Mm-hmm. So if I told you my last name, the yeerks would be able to find my friends and me, and if they ever find us, it will be the end. They might kill us, or worse. Right, so then it goes into like how they became Animorphs. They touched the glowy cube.
They met a dying alien, gave them power to turn into animals. For 2 hours.
Fun Animorph quiz. What's the name of the dying prince?
Prince Elfinger.
Full name.
Elfinger. There's sham tools in there.
Elfinger, Prince Elfie.
Prince Elfie.
Prince Elfie gives them the cube.
Elfie.
Has a special connection to Tobias, and they move on. They get adventures. It talks about them turning into their battle forms, which is for Rachel an elephant. But there's also a tiger, gorilla, and a horse. Because
Let's for the sake of our audience assume they listened to the last one because they probably didn't read it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I summed it up. They got powers. Yeah, they got powers. And then they stomped on some yeerks.
Yeah, they got powers, broke into a yeerk pool where the yeerks need to recharge their crystals or whatever in water.
Using Calphon rays?
Kandrona.
Kandrona rays. Teflon rays.
I don't like my role as knowing everything about these books. Listen, I don't like that's become who I am.
This is your second reading of these books. So. Yeah. You're now the Animorphs expert.
I'm the expert. Write in, let us know.
Yeah, I'm the fish out of water. This is my first time reading these. And, it's rad as hell because last book, Tobias stole a bunch of eyes as a bird.
He went for some eyes.
Right, and then, it starts out with them just being birds.
Yeah, they're all chilling out.
Right, they're all just being bird friends and hanging around.
They're like, woo, we're having a great time. And Rachel's like, this is pretty fun. Tobias leans into Rachel and is like, hey, you want to do a dive bomb? And Rachel's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I should do that, but Tobias teaches her to dive bomb, and she fucking loves it. Yeah, Rachel's our thrill seeker. She's our thrill seeker.
Wait, she's not the thrill seeker. I think she's the person who... it's established in this book that her characteristic is courage.
Courage, never backs down. Yeah, always will sacrifice herself for the group.
Yeah, and knows the power of love.
She does know the power of love.
Right.
That's a thing in this.
Right. And Tobias knows the power of bird because he's a forever bird.
He's a bird forever.
He's a bird forever. That's why he's so good at dive bombing and all this bird hullabaloo.
All this stuff. But did you notice that Tobias was always just kind of hanging out with Rachel? Like there was a thing. Like in book 1.
Yeah, I want to ship all these characters. I've been working actively who's going to hook up with who.
Well, we know Jake and Cassie.
I was saying Jake and Rachel.
They're cousins.
They're going to hook up. They're going to get in the end. They're going to Giuliani this whole thing.
We're not doing this again. We are not doing this again.
Listen, I'm just saying, I'm just reading this book how it is. There's a close connection between them.
There are. They're
very close.
They're very close. They're flying along, having a great time dive bombing when...
Bang!
Bang! Literal bang.
Yep.
They feel a phew! Something flies right by their wings.
Well, do you want to read that passage? There's a good description of being shot at. Okay. Also, might I mention there's some great is it onomatopoeia where they kind of spell out? I'm an English major. I should know this.
Yeah.
There's for example, there's a lot of yahas and zings.
Isn't that onomatopoeia? The sound, it's spelled like it sounds.
Yeah. Specifically, I'm looking at a nice long zing.
Hey kids, let us know what an onomatopoeia is if we're right or wrong.
Okay. Well, here I have the passage where they get shot at.
Let's do it.
Okay.
What page we on?
So we are on page
8.
6 for me.
Oh, 6, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
It is early.
Yeah, so, I'm just going to go right after this zing.
Yeah, page 6. Zing!
Right. The zing is apparently a gunshot.
Yeah, that's what a bullet whizzes by. It goes zing. I remember when I used to go hunting. Yeah. Every time I'd kill a deer, I'd laugh because the gun just went zing!
Hunting would be different. It made, laser noises. So, anyways, zing. I felt something go right through my tail feathers. Hey, someone's down there shooting at us, I said.
I can see them, Cassie said. She and Marco had joined up with us. They both had morphed the same osprey. It was hard to tell them apart because you can't really tell where thought speech comes from.
Lazy.
2 guys over in the woods. They have a rifle. I can't believe this. I was really mad. I'm an endangered species. I'm a bald eagle. What's the matter with those creeps?
By the way, I love the nationalism.
I mean, here's the thing.
Bald eagles suck.
They turned her into a bald eagle. She's the real leader.
Yeah.
She's the real leader. Jake is a piece of shit. But they call him the leader, but he's bland. No personality.
Right. Let it be known that I think we both hate Jake.
Hate him. We just hate him.
He should have died as a lizard.
He ate too many spiders. And his stomach burst open.
I just like the idea they ate some plastic.
I'm getting fat on spider over here.
But yeah, like together they can make like the actual like national like symbol because they have the bald eagle and the red-tailed hawk, which is the actual coolest bird.
The very coolest bird.
And as the sound that you get from most bald eagles and TV red-tailed hawks.
Yeah.
Anyways, so
awesome.
what do they do with these like jerks that are shooting at the national symbol?
So they come up with this great plan.
All right.
They start flying low,
okay,
coming right at them while these two little jerks, one of them has a ponytail, they're teenagers drinking beer, which they say, hey, that's no good.
Yeah, like they're all narcs.
Yeah. All yeerks are cops and all Animorphs are narcs. It's fine.
Also, there's a fun line here where it says, Tobias has a special reason for disliking anyone who would shoot a bird.
Because they don't want to spoil it in Chapter 1 that Tobias is a bird. It's fine.
Right.
So they do something here that, honestly, I respect. And it's something I wish we would do more as Americans.
Okay, what's that?
Direct action. They take the gun away.
Yeah, you know what, everyone...
They see some irresponsible fucking gun owners, and they take the gun away.
Listeners, if you see a gun, steal it and run off
take
of it.
It.
And if you see them drinking a beer, take that beer and dump it out in front of them.
Dump it out, throw it in a trash can.
Right.
Which is what they do.
Exactly what
Tobias
they do.
Scratches one dude's face because he loves going for the face. That's his move.
Tobias loves faces.
He scratches this guy's face.
So good.
Rachel grabs the gun. Marco grabs the beer.
Yeah.
Rachel flies the gun out into the ocean and drops it in the ocean.
Activism birds.
Yeah.
Love it.
And Marco drops the beer in a garbage can.
Yeah, and you get some good, like, also animal brain dialogue in this section as well, because I think my favorite writing that Catherine A. Applegate does is, like, the animal brain stuff.
Let's keep only doing the full name.
Well, yeah. Well,
Catherine Alice Applegate.
It's Alice.
Is it?
Is it Alice?
What'd you say?
A.
Oh, I should be listening to you.
I just said A. Applegate. I don't know. But yeah, like there's like, it's talking about like how the bird brain really has to take over because the human brain just can't deal with flying.
Yeah, it doesn't understand it.
So it's just like tree, bank left, tree, bank right, tree, 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 tree. And
yes.
like I enjoyed that kind of style of writing where it's just like stream of consonants from a dumb bird.
Yeah, for dumb children reading these dumb books.
Yeah, it's for the dumb people.
Tree. Yeah! I yelled, half from terror and half from total out of control thrill of it. In and out, and through. Zoom! Suddenly, there they were, just ahead in a clearing. Two teenage creeps sitting in the back of a pickup truck. One guy had a blonde ponytail. Ew. Rachel didn't say that. I'm saying ew.
Immediate villain.
Just
ponytail.
Ew. The other one wore a baseball cap. They were 100 yards away, like being all the way down a football field, but my eagle eyes were so good I could count their eyelashes. The guy with the ponytail had the rifle. The other guy was drinking a beer. They were still scanning the skies looking for us. Guess what, morons? I thought as we raced them. We're not up there anymore. We're right here. In your face!
Man, it's good. Every single part of In Your Face gets its own line.
Yeah, its own line. Its own ellipses, and then face with an exclamation point. So let's address this.
The words are in our face.
The start of the first book, a slog, a boring slog.
Yeah, it's talking about like dumb teenage stuff. Like we're hanging out at the mall.
We're at the mall. I can't beat the Nether Fjord, but Marco can. Here's my friend Tobias. I only like him because I defend him. He gets beat up all the time. Man. Oh, here's these bitches I hang out with. One's my cousin. The other one I kind of like. She's hot.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like...
Never give Jake a book again is what I...
Never.
Yeah.
But there are so many Jake books.
Of course there are.
There's so many.
Yeah.
But it immediately has a voice. It's interesting. There's action.
Right.
It's a beautiful cold open to this book.
Yeah, no, it's very good. And it definitely starts out with, like, bird attacks, which I think is a great start to any book.
It's a great start to the book, and they call it a day. They fly back to their little church area, the little bell tower.
Yeah.
And they mention how Cassie's a beautiful morpher. She's great at it. She turns human but keeps the wings and looks like a beautiful angel, which is fine.
Yeah, she has a strong connection to animals.
She has a strong connection to animals. She's the best at morphing.
I'm most excited for her book, I think.
And
because, like, I want to know more about Cassie, I think, than any other Animorph. I think I know enough about Tobias to really kind of paint a full picture. I don't care about Jake. I care a little bit more about Marco.
He's more interesting, but he's also more acidic. Can we call it corrosive?
He's like, I think he just doesn't know how to deal with his shit.
Yeah.
Like, and it just controls him. Whereas, like, I think Rachel, like, is a good person. She has strong, assertive feelings and courage. But like Cassie, like we don't know what the hell's going on in her brain because like I don't think she doesn't know how to write Cassie yet.
Yeah,
she's just good at morphing. That's her thing.
She's great at morpher.
She's great at looking good morphing.
And I don't like Marco a whole lot. I remember being a kid liking Marco, thinking he was funny. Now I think he's a fucking dick.
He's the Raphael of the group. He's the he's got that tood.
Well, the tood. He says something really sexist, and I've earmarked that.
Well, yeah, but that was just in the 90s. Everyone was really sexist.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's jarring to read it now.
Yeah,
with this language.
I know which part you're
knowing
talking
that
about.
This is for kids.
Well,
and
we'll get to it.
No, I'm there. I got it.
You want to read the sexist part?
I'll read it. This starts with Marco talking after they've morphed back.
All right.
Personally, I'm glad to be back to my regular body, Marco said. The flying part is great, but it's not a good idea to be able to see that well. Why? Jake asked. Look, Jake, how many times have you been walking around the mall or whatever, and you'll see a girl who seems good looking from far off, but when you get closer, it turns out she's a total skank? I mean, if you could see this well all the time... Excuse me, I interrupted. I'm sure I didn't hear you say what I thought you just said. I wasn't being sexist, Marco protested. It goes both ways. See, from far off, I look taller than I am. See? Everybody's wrong. The right's wrong, the left is wrong. Everybody's ugly. I'm not calling you ugly from a position of power that you can't fight, which is exactly what he's doing.
No, like it's like the boys, boys will be boys kind of like storytelling,
and
which
was
the thing.
The only function that I like of this, and that I actually respect of this, is that Catherine Alice Applegate makes the girl say, "Hey, fuck you," calls him out on this immediately.
Like not strongly though. Like it was a polite kind of chiding of
right.
Like you don't look so hot yourself. Like that's all that kind of happened from it.
I don't know. Having a kid learn what a skank was, I don't like it.
I mean, yeah, like whatever. Like remember Wayne's World, Scud. She's a scud.
She's a scud. Yes.
All right. Enough about scuds.
Enough about scuds.
There's some great transformation lines here though, where like she has like some weird. Catherine A. Applegate. Mm-hmm. Sorry, we're saying the full name.
Yeah, not Rachel. We're speaking about the author.
Catherine A. Applegate. Probably has some like weird fetishes. Because there's a lot of like transformation things where she like goes into like that gross detail.
Oh yeah.
Of like for example, her turning back into a bird. My yellow bill sucked into my mouth to become white teeth. That part sort of itched. Made me want to grind my teeth a few times. My lips grew around my teeth. My eyes went from pale gold to normal blue. My legs grew quite a bit from 3 inches to normal size. Like, it goes into this kind of detail that you would get out of a Harlequin novel.
Right. And it's the line that they usually put in, well, they put it in all the books so far, is this probably should have hurt, but it really didn't.
No,
and
like,
it's like, oh.
They go into like the feeling. How did it feel?
Right. It's like, oh. Watching my spine extend really itched, but I liked it.
Ooh, my tailbone kind of went out a little bit.
Oh, I feel this tail protruding from my back, and my legs are full of power now.
Maybe I'm just like adding some extra things to it. I mean, actually, hold on. Yes, I am definitely adding some extra things.
We're bringing some baggage to this.
Right. But, like, I don't know. I think that these books probably awaken some things in some young budding furries out there on the internet.
I mean... Yeah, I can't come without thinking about someone's lips growing around their teeth.
God damn it. Like, I highlighted that line because it is just so gross.
It's, yeah.
And, well, she mentions it. It's the kind of thing that would give you nightmares. Which, actually, hold on. This leads into other things later on. Where they use, like, the mid-morph thing. So, well, that happens right after they become birds, right?
Well, it's a little bit later.
Okay, well, so what happens after they unmorph?
Like, they're talking about, like, I wish we weren't in the secret war, because, me, I'm Marco. Well, I want to go on David Letterman.
Yeah,
I want to be famous. Jake's like, I could be a stuntman. Tobias is like, I'm still a bird.
The dumbest line, like, what would you do if you could just be open with your powers? I'd be a stuntman.
Yeah. It's like I could jump out of a building, it would look real, but I turned into a bird and fly away before it landed. It's like,
oh god.
It's like, Jake, that's a shitty stunt.
Yeah, Jake is the Fred of Scooby-Doo. Like, he's so boring.
Yeah, just neckerchiefing.
Like, his original ideas are just to, like, be the most boring guy, but, like, could turn into an animal to, like, be really good at it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a dope.
I could be a dock worker and turn into a yak and pull the boat in.
I'd like to work on the dock, and if I drop a tool, I'll just turn into a fish and go get it and bring it back. That's my Jake thought, by the way.
I think those are all Jake thoughts.
Yeah, he's just the dumb guy.
Jake sucks.
Yeah, Jake.
It's the moral of the story. But then she goes into her gymnastics, right?
Well, I mean, they say morphing is great, this is great, but we're in war. What's our next step? They're not all sold into it, though, because, like, you know, the only one who's all in is Tobias and Rachel.
And, well, Rachel's not in all the way yet.
Cassie.
Like, Rachel has doubts.
Right.
Like, I think that's the kind of, like, because the thing about, like about this book is that, and I think Animorph books going forward for at least the next couple are just going to be, like, pure character studies. Mm-hmm. Like, right now, we are focused on Rachel, and we are learning Rachel's motivations. And we know that she is not 100% in this war. She knows it's important, but she doesn't have proper motivation to do it.
She knows that she has to do it because that's what's right.
It's the right thing to do.
But she does that out of a sense of duty. She doesn't have something she's fighting for other than I'm brave and a good person, which, I mean, fuck yeah. That's a good reason.
Yeah.
But she got no skin in this game.
Which I get. Like, I think everyone who wants to do the right thing needs to have, like, that personal motivator.
Right.
And she don't got that yet.
Right. And nobody is completely altruistic enough to be like, I'm fighting this because it's right.
Except for Tobias. I think Tobias was, like, all in all the way at the beginning.
And I think that's partially because he had that special bond with Prince Elfie.
Yeah.
And
that'll be covered later, I think. I guess. Because, like, they keep on going back to, like, the connection that they had at the beginning.
And, yeah, the next book is Tobias. You get a really phenomenal reason for why he's fighting. Okay. It's book 3.
Real good.
A great book. I love it.
Listeners, listen to the next podcast.
Yeah,
Skip this one. Skip this one. Just go right to book 3.
Skip it.
Actually, no, this is a good book.
Please don't. Well, no, hold on.
Okay.
They decide, they're like, we fucked the yeerks up. We got to keep hitting them. We got to hit these yeerks again. We need to figure out.
They're after the pools.
Yeah. And they're talking about how they went to their pool and how Jake said he went back to look and that it's gone.
Yeah.
The door to the pool is gone.
Like, is there still a door there? Is it filled in? Or is it like...
He just says the door's gone. Okay. So they can't get to the pool from there. And they're like, well, we know our Vice Principal Chapman is a yeerk commander.
Right.
How can we get at him? And they have this idea. They say, Rachel, you're friends with Chapman's daughter, Melissa. So we're gonna levy your friendship with her to try and take down an alien invasion, and Rachel feels gross about it, which tells me she's a great person.
Yeah.
Jake spent the entirety of book 1 in denial about his brother.
Yeah, like...
And yeah, they eventually...
I feel bad for that. Like, that makes sense.
No, they tried to save him and fucking failed.
Yeah.
But Rachel's like, I feel gross about doing that, but the greater good is more important than me feeling gross right now.
The greater good.
And Rachel mentions Melissa's become distant. Something's wrong. Something's not quite right.
Right.
And it's like, ooh, they thought that about Jake's brother Tom, too.
Yeah, like, the first note I wrote is like, oh, she's been yeerked. Because, like, that I predicted... I had low standards for this book going in, I think. Because, like, I was just like, okay, I bet you I could predict exactly what's going to happen.
And it's much worse, isn't it?
Well, it's different.
It's different, but I'd say it's worse.
I knew that they were going to go on that adventure, but, I didn't know to what extent or how they were going to go about it. So as soon as I heard, like, oh, Melissa's been distant and weird. Because she has a worm in her brain. Mm-hmm. But... So... and her connection through Melissa was old childhood friend, and they have the same gymnastics class together.
Yeah.
Right?
So... They go to the YMCA, practice for the gym.
Right.
Melissa is characteristically distant and will not connect with Rachel. Rachel's like, hey, let's hang out. I need to go get new shoes. Let's go to the mall. And Melissa's like, I can't. I have to go. My planet needs me. That kind of like, it's like, yeah, that sounds fun. And Rachel can tell that she's getting fucking blown off.
Yeah, well, cold and distant, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, she says, hey, Melissa, I said, how's it going? Fine. How about you? Oh, pretty much the same old thing. That was a lie, of course. What was I going to say? Yeah, Melissa, same old, been turning into animals and fighting aliens. The usual. Which, that's smarter and more interesting than Jake ever said in book 1. And then she continues. Melissa didn't say anything else. She just adjusted her leotard and started to do a few little stretches. That's the way it was. We said hi, but not much more. Used to be we were very close. She was my second best friend after Cassie. Melissa, I was thinking, maybe you'd like to walk over to the mall with me after class. I have to buy a new pair of sneakers. The mall? She stammered a little, and then started blushing. You mean, go shopping? And then she shuts it down. She's like, no, I have homework, can't do it. She says, I'm, kind of busy. "Oh, that's cool, I understand." But I didn't understand, not at all. She started to walk away. I was going to let it go, but then I remembered. This wasn't just about a friend who had drifted away. This is about her father, one of the leaders of the controllers. One of our most dangerous enemies. I grabbed her arm. "Melissa, look. I feel like we've kind of gone in different ways, you know? And I miss you." She shrugged. "Okay, well, maybe we could get together sometime."
So, like, she's doing the, like, connection thing of, like, I need to know about one of our most dangerous... She's aware that, like, Principal Chapman, or Vice Principal?
Vice Principal, yeah.
Vice Principal Chapman, like, is an important source of information for the Animorphs.
For the Animorphs. There's a yeerk in his brain, and it's in charge.
Ooh. But, like, I think, like, halfway through she realizes, like, oh, my friend is also in trouble, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she knows something is amiss and wants to know more about it.
And she's trying to connect with a friend.
Yeah. And, like, this is a nice, realistic depiction of, like, a friend you haven't talked to in a while, and you're trying to reconnect, and they're distant. Yeah. Like, maybe, like, they just don't like you anymore.
Right.
Or there's, like,
what's going on? Why do you like me?
Right. And, that's a very, like, teenage emotion, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And to Rachel's credit, she jumps to it right away. She's like, oh, God, is Melissa a controller? Like, is she yeerked up?
Yes, way smarter than Jake.
Way smarter than Jake. So... after gymnastic practice, my favorite part of this book happens. I don't know if it's your favorite part.
Part you liked the most?
It felt the most 90s. Because growing up in the 90s, I was warned, like, if you're going out alone, someone could get you.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, someone will get you.
Sonic the Hedgehog told me about strangers.
Yeah, and if anyone's touching you inappropriately... please tell an adult. Thanks, Urkel Sonic. It's fine.
Like, well, everything in the 90s was always about a stranger that's around to, like, just capture you.
Stranger, danger, all the time.
Right, but I think part of the problem with, like, that messaging in the 90s was it was always targeted towards, like, really young kids. Whereas Rachel here is...
supposedly 14, 15?
15?
It's ambiguous, so the kid can be like, just maybe a few years older than me.
15, like, they keep on mentioning how she looks like a model and how it embarrasses her in ways. Which I also think is, like, a nice, like, nod to teenage emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I looked like a model when I was 15.
Well, you still,
I knew that. I know the struggles of being super attractive.
You still do, man. You look great.
Right.
You look fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, you look good. Like, really good.
Wine.
Fine. So, this next part, she gets, like, really pissed off because she fucked up at gymnastics. She fucked up with her friend. She's like, fuck this. I mean, she doesn't say fuck this. It's a kid's book. But she goes outside into the rain to fucking stomp home. And that's when a gentleman, I'm using that term loosely, not real, jumps out of the car and says, "Hey, baby," he said, "want to go for a little ride?" I shook my head and clutched my gym bag close. What an idiot I was to be so careless. See, I don't like that. Well, her blaming herself for going outside.
Yeah, there's a lot more victim blaming going on here. Which, again, is super 90s.
Now don't be stuck up, sweet thing. I think you'd better get in the car. The way he said it, it didn't sound like an invitation. It sounded like an order. Now I was really afraid. I clutched my gym bag close as I passed him. "Don't ignore me," he hissed. He reached for me and missed. I walked faster. He's behind me. I broke into a run. He ran after me. Hey there, come back here. I had been stupid going out alone, but fortunately, unlike most people, I wasn't helpless. As I ran, I focused on something completely different. I concentrated on an image in my mind. Then I felt the change begin. My legs grew thick. My arms grew bigger. I could feel myself growing large and solid. I felt the squirmy sensation of my ears becoming thin and leathery. But it wasn't enough to just look creepy. This guy had made me mad. I wanted to scare him half to death. My nose suddenly began to sprout. Then from my mouth, 2 huge spears, the tusks, began to appear. I figured that was about enough. I broke my concentration, which stopped the morph. I stopped suddenly. The creep barreled right into me. He was not going to like what he was about to see. I wanted to tell the jerk to step off. What I wanted to say to him was, "So, you still want to go for that ride?" What I really said was, "Hurrah!" The guy stopped dead. He just stared. What he saw was me, halfway through morphing into an African elephant. I had about a third of a trunk and most of my huge fan-like elephant ears. My legs were like stumps. My arms looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger's, only gray. His are kind of gray now. And my tusks stuck about a foot out of my mouth, just to make things extra weird. I still had my normal hair and normal eyes. Suddenly, this guy wasn't interested in hassling me. Ah! He turned and ran. For a minute, he forgot he even had a car, then turned around and jumped through an open window. He started the car and took off.
Yeah,
which
that does rule. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's
and also it's legitimately funny.
It's it's like
as an adult, I chuckled.
Yeah, reading this, I was like, "Oh God, this is terrifying." There's a raper coming, and that was I read that as it was written.
Yeah,
I added some of my own personality and performance to it, but I'm really going with the gold that Catherine Ellis Applegate spun for us here.
Yeah, the girl that looked like half an elephant.
The girl looked like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I like the idea that they can use the half transformation, spookiness.
Yeah, that's very cool, and it comes into play next book really good too.
Yeah, and it showed that raper off.
Showed him the fuck off.
Right. And I think it bums me out what happened afterwards.
Oh, where she gets in the car with Chapman and Melissa?
Well, yeah, I think we should cover that before we get into, the response of turning into half an elephant. But, the gang really kind of gangs up on her, oh, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she gets in the car with Chapman and Melissa.
Right.
And it was all weird because Rachel's focusing on yeerk Chapman.
Right. Well, and, she's like, oh, does he know?
It's like, did they see any of this? They might have seen me, which is terrifying. If a brain slug knows who you are, can shoot a laser at your ass, it's like you're dead.
Yeah, but Brain Slug also is trying to keep up appearances.
Right. That's very important.
And so he's just like, oh, so how was human school? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I hope you had a human day.
Excellent. And she was just out there kind of freaked out by both the encounter and the situation.
Because she could tell that he was putting on airs. She knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
It was all very fake, and there was no one there.
Right.
There it isn't. It's fine. Spoiler alert, he's got a yeerk in his brain. We learned the last book.
Right. So, after that encounter, she calls a meeting of the Animorphs by saying this great line. Do you want to come over? I said, I got that new album if you want to listen to it.
Yeah.
The new album. Come over to my new album, Jake.
Hello, friends. I have the new album. Let us listen to it.
Yeah, she calls Cassie, Marco, and Jake over to listen to the new album. Mm-hmm. Really, just to kind of talk Animorphs talk.
Right.
And this is where she admits to kind of doing the half transformation.
Yeah.
And of course, Marco being an kind of insensitive dickhole, just says oh, it's dumb. Oh, you're so dumb. What if that guy was a controller? He wasn't a controller. I said scornfully. Why would the Earth want to make a controller out of a punk? Which is all good points. And also, I think just first should be, are you okay? How you feeling about the whole spooky...
Oh my God, you almost got taken.
Right.
And if you're Liam Neeson as Jake, you're kind of fucked. You're not getting back.
No. And even Cassie kind of gets onto it, where she's like, Cassie gave me an encouraging smile. It was dumb putting yourself in that position, Rachel. You need to be more careful. And so, I'm just kind of, come on, give Rachel a break for a second.
It's Rachel, you shouldn't have used your life-saving power. You should have got kidnapped.
Just get kidnapped and then stomping on him as an elephant.
Yeah,
which actually isn't a bad plan. Well, Cassie actually does say, still, I had to pay my next allowances to see the look on that guy's face. Which, okay, Cassie understands it, but still kind of, beats on her a little bit, which I thought kind of sucked. So
you get a little insight into Rachel's home life as well. You find out mom and dad are divorced.
Right.
Dad's a weatherman.
Wait, okay, I skipped over that.
You skipped over. Hold, let me read it to you.
Yeah.
I happened to glance over at my desk. There was my math homework still not done. That didn't make me feel any better. But then I looked at the photos I had mounted in one of those big frames with 6 different holes. One was of me with my mom and dad on a whitewater rafting trip we took. One was of me visiting my dad at his job. He's a weatherman on TV.
All right.
So, mom's a lawyer or works in legal. Yeah. They're divorced. She's got 2 younger sisters.
Yeah.
And they come up with their plan of what they're going to do. They need to turn into small animals to infiltrate Vice Principal Chapman's house.
Right. Small animals, like what? Marco asked. When Jake turned into a lizard, he almost got. Well, it says he got stepped on. Did they step on him?
Yeah, they took his tail off.
Okay.
It's a big point of contention. Lizard talk. Lizard tail talk.
Right. He lost his tail. Besides, what are you going to morph into? A cockroach. And I like how they react to that idea of morphing into a cockroach.
Yeah, they're disgusted with it.
Well, they bring it up. The problem with the cockroach, I said, aside from the fact that it's too gross to believe, is that roach senses might not even be useful to us. Can you hear in the way that would make it possible for us to understand what he's hearing? Like,
right.
Again, like stuff I never really thought about when thinking about turning into animals.
Right. I just assume I can hear everything.
Yeah, if you turn to a cockroach, really all you hear is like when somebody's talking, and
I'm going to speak for the audience. Please don't do that again.
What, the little pitter?
Don't. No.
I'm rubbing it.
This is an unlistenable mess.
I'm rubbing it. Whatever, it's bad, I'll cut it.
No, but we leave it in the picture.
Anyways, like they're not going to hear human voice sounds. They're going to hear just weird vibrations of a larynx and, not really know what that means and understand it.
Right.
They're not thought speaking.
Right. They're not using their magical telepathy.
Right.
But it's... So?
And also, like, the idea of dealing with a bug brain. Like, if a lizard brain was bad enough, like, if the idea of turning into a bug is, like, you just kind of lose all control, you can't rely on the bug brain to know what to do because there is none.
Right, it's just impulse, impulse, impulse.
It is a brainstem.
Yeah, there's some vague sensory impulse, that's it. You can't really control it.
Right, so...
Which, honestly, that was one of my favorite parts of this book when that happens.
Yeah, we'll get to...
We'll get to it.
We'll get to the bug part. But, they come to the conclusion that they need some small, sneaky animal.
Right. Something that will raise no suspicion. So they look at those pictures on Rachel's desk, and what do they find? They see a picture of her and Melissa, and between them, a small black and white kitten. A kitten named...
Okay, do you want to say it? Because
it's Fluffy McKittens.
Fluffy McKittens.
Fluffer McKitty.
Yeah,
is its name.
I like Fluffy McKittens. I think that's a better name.
Well, I like the name Fluffer because it makes me want makes me want to ask you to give the listeners your recipe for a Fluffernutter sandwich.
I love Fluffernutters. Okay, here's a recipe for a Fluffernutter sandwich.
I'd never heard this before I met Nate. They're good?
Apparently it's like an East Coast thing.
We're from the West Coast.
Yeah, I know. My dad's from the East Coast. He told me about the Fluffernutter.
Yeah, how's your dad doing? Tell me about your dad. Let's get into dad issues.
Well, like I said, this
Daddy talk on Single Wine Dad Animorphs.
This is a book about dads as well as teenage emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, a Fluffernutter is marshmallow fluff, which you can just buy apparently from a jar, and peanut butter.
Yeah.
And you make that into a sandwich. It's real good.
It's called a Fluffernutter.
I kind of want one.
There's a reason we're thick boys.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, we're Tobias boys for life.
Team Tobias boys.
Tobias definitely got down with some Fluffernutters.
Yeah, we're definitely a couple of snacks over here. Snacks that eat like a meal. So
they're turning into this the plan is to turn into a tuxedo cat.
Yeah.
Right.
Fluffer McKitty.
Right.
So that's what's on the cover. Rachel turning into the cat. The morph of this book is the cat.
Right. So they make the plan, but then they kind of stop. Hold on. I'm gonna remind myself what chapter 6 is because I kind of forget.
It's where they come up with the plan. Right. They talk about Fluffer McKitty.
Yeah.
Tobias talks about how it would be fun to eat rats.
Yeah, they go into how Marco kind of sucks in school.
Right.
There's this line where it's like, you're not upset about that detention he gave you, talking about Principal Chapman, or Vice Principal. Look, if you're going to listen to music in math class with the earphones hidden underneath your hair, you have to remember not to start singing along to it, which I think is a dumb lie.
Dumb. The men in this are dumb.
Well, I think the writing in that is bad. Nobody does that.
Yeah, nobody does that.
Even the shittiest people I knew in high school did not jam out to music and start singing along because he's a wacky guy. It's not what people do.
So we've reached this book's morph. Do you want to do your report on this morph?
Yeah, let's start with cats.
Let me pass this off to you.
Okay.
It's the Animorph in Time book report. Oh, I have a sound cue.
All right, play it.
So I would say that this book report is now in your hands.
God, they all look 30.
They're all 30. With your hands, it's all in your hands. For those of you that don't know, that was a theme song to the Animorphs television show.
Man, yeah, I watched that off of your phone. It kind of sucks that they gave Tobias a face, because he's probably just going to be a bird from the rest of that series. I feel bad for that actor.
I only ever saw the first episode, which I loved because we're poor and we couldn't afford Nickelodeon.
It's all in your head.
It's all in your hands. So this book report's all in your hands. Let's hear about cats.
Okay.
Hold on. Before we hear about cats, let's...
Yeah, top off the boss.
boss.
My cup says the boss on it.
We're topping off the boss here.
Yeah. Okay. So I was a bad book reporter.
Okay.
I didn't open up an Encyclopedia Britannica.
You didn't...
I didn't do the actual research that I should have been doing. So instead, I kind of cobbled together some hot cat facts. Because again, it's a cat.
It's a cat. We know how cats fuck. We didn't know how green animals fuck. Team Dewlap over here.
Well, here, it's if you want to continue penis talk, actually.
I guess we can.
Okay, so I'm going to start off...
this whole podcast is just penis talk.
I'm going to start off with penis talk. So here's a fun fact about cat penises. Did you know that they have barbed penises?
Huh. Like their tongues?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. The whole idea with, and this goes for all animals, too, is that, if they have,
I don't have a barbed penis.
Well, all animals that have barbed penises, the reason why they are barbed is to scrub out competitors' the funky juice.
What's that, funky juice?
That funky semen juice.
Okay.
Spermazoa.
Isn't that, speaking as the one with a biology degree.
Okay. Yeah, go. Okay, let's bust out the degrees.
Isn't that also the function of the head of the penis? How it kind of it's kind of globular like a helmet, and it's got the head parts that connect to the shaft. Isn't the point of insertion if there's other spermatozoa in there, as you call it, or gametes?
What are you calling gamete?
Biology degree here, nervous. So the penis goes in there.
Yeah.
It plunges head first into another dude's load, right?
Right.
And so the load will come around the head, and get stuck. We're either
like a plunger, right?
Yeah,
the idea is
where
that you're
there's
plunging out
where there's foreskin or no foreskin.
Yeah.
You circumcised?
I'm circumcised.
I'm circumcised as well. Hey, any hooded boys out there? We'd love to hear from you what it's like. But so the other dude's load or other woman's load, gets caught on that penis,
right?
And as the penis exits, it pulls out some of that load, right?
Yeah, but I think it's more of a problem for cats because cats go into heat, right? They have that period, that hot period, where they're they're ready to get down, and humans don't have that. So for tomcats,
also, please let me say that there can be non-binary penises as well. I missed that, and I am genuinely sorry.
Listen, I didn't.
I am. I'm I said, guys and gals.
Let's agree that. Okay, I'm going to agree to two things. One, gender is a social contract, a social construct.
Construct, right? Yeah,
not a contract.
I
signed papers.
Someone's feeling the tempranillo.
And thing number two is that all cats are girls.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so
all dogs are boys and all cats are girls, right?
Right. So, anyways,
please continue.
Well, that's the reason why cats have barbed penises. Scrub out because there's that hot period,
where it's
female cats just get on the high post and scream, "Fuck me!" as loud as they can.
Fill me up, boys. There's a port in town, and I need a lot of semen.
Right. So that's a hot cat fact.
That's a hot cat.
Would you
hot cat fact?
Would you like some non-sexual cat facts?
Please, let's get off the sexual cat facts.
Okay, according to this Reddit thread.
Oh God, All
right, here we go. Apparently, they basically domesticated themselves. When agriculture became a thing, human needs placed to store their crops, which attracted rodents, which attracted cats. Right, so they just decided that they needed to be there one day, and humans were just kind of cool with it. Right, which kind of plays into the idea that cats just don't care about humans in general.
Yeah, that's the most cat fact I've ever heard.
Right.
Where it's hey, there's a steady stream of dirty food here. I don't care about these other fucks.
Right, this thing won't murder me if I get pet by it occasionally, and I'm soft, so here we go.
Right. That's a good cat fact.
Yeah.
Keep hitting me with these.
Okay, here's a fun cat fact.
Let's do it.
If you are, say, terribly diabetic and die in your home...
One day,
a cat might come by and actually eat parts of you.
Are we doing this? Are we doing this?
This is the episode where we talk about Napoleon, our previous cat, who ate somebody.
Nate and I have known each other for a very long time. We've been friends for a very long time.
Yes.
We owned a cat together.
Yeah.
So... out of the blue, many years ago, 2008, 2009, earlier, 2007, 6, somewhere in there, right?
A decade plus.
Oh God, 13 years ago. Oh, God, whose old hands are these? That's going to be the thing I say in every episode. Whose hands are these? Because I'm old.
The subline.
But, so, my cousin calls me one day. My cousin Lisa's like, hey, I have a friend who passed away, and he had a couple cats. Do you want to adopt one? And we're like, yeah, we'll take a cat. We'd love to adopt a cat. And she says, so we're going to get the cat. And I'm like, so... yeah, what happened to your friend? And she's like, well, he died in his apartment, and no one found him for a few weeks, and his 2 cats, Napoleon and Gypsy, were still alive because they had eaten some of him.
Right.
So the cat we owned, Napoleon, a
great cat.
Great...
like he
black as night.
Loki hated you, but like, you know, like I like that distance.
Yeah, he was very, I mean,
he's distant, but like he would like occasionally like need comfort in the cold night.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all right, I will pet your back and it'll be good.
In the words of one of the great songwriters and poets of our time,
K. Applegate.
No, he was hot and then he was cold.
Oh, okay.
He was yes, then he was no.
Yeah.
He was in, then he was out. He was up, then he was down.
Yeah.
My point is, yes, sometimes you could pet him, or sometimes don't touch him, or sometimes he just wants to lay there in front of the floor heater. I know what happened to me. I'm sure it happened to you. Did you ever wake up with him standing on your chest?
Yeah, stealing my breath.
Yeah, okay. Was he stealing your breath, or getting ready to eat you? Because I always thought, given his history of eating human, that he was like, is this the time? Do I get to have another one?
I've never thought that he was trying to like eat me.
That was like, always my thought. If
I just know he would if I died.
So yeah, we owned a cat that ate people. Napoleon.
Right. So I think like last cat fact to wrap this up.
Okay.
Let's talk about toxoplasmosis.
Yes.
I love toxoplasmosis. It's my favorite cat fact.
Yes.
So like. Toxoplasmosis, if you don't know, there's a parasite that's pretty common in cats. I want to say, like, most cats have it.
Yeah, pretty much all cats have it. And if you've ever owned or lived with a cat, there's a greater than 50% chance you have it as well.
Right. And especially, this is good news if you're pregnant. Don't go near a cat, especially, like, their feces or anything that has come out of a cat. Because they are chock full of toxoplasmosis.
They are.
And, you know... ultimately, like, it could affect the health of the baby. If
it could, and it also affects the health a couple different ways.
Yeah.
Did you look this up, or do you want me to go off as a nurse?
No, go off, man.
I'll go off as a nurse.
It's on you.
So, there have been studies showing that toxoplasmosis could be, it's linked to dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So, your cat could make your brain go crazy and forget things and just be awful. So, there's studies linking it to that. However, it's very well documented that toxoplasmosis will kill you if you have end-stage AIDS. There are a few things that the human body can fight off just without even trying. There's pneumocystic pneumonia, which we all just can fight off like it's nothing. But if you are severely immunocompromised, like someone with end-stage AIDS, it'll kill you.
Yeah.
That's why people with end-stage AIDS get tuberculosis, because most people have some of that in their lungs. But if your body has no white blood cells, all this infection is just growing and it'll kill you. And one of the very common killers of people with end-stage AIDS is toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasmosis gondii, I believe.
AKA most cats.
Yeah, and they say that they are just like microscopic bacterial worms, and they can't really diagnose it until after you're dead, and that's if they get to cut open your brain and find it.
There's also been like some like, I want to say like fringe studies, so like, you know, if it's wrong then I'm just a dumb man, but that, you know, that toxoplasmosis actually increases your affection for cats. Right.
Yeah, there is that too.
So the idea being that is if you have toxoplasmosis, you know, the little wormies, you know, make it your way to your brain. They do something to your brain, so you kind of become more attracted to cats.
Yeah.
So like,
and there's very early studies linking it to schizophrenia as well. Like owning a cat as kid might
here's a question: do you have toxoplasmosis?
Probably.
I probably do. I definitely do. I handled tons of cat turds as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. I had my Siamese cat, Smidget. I did not name it. I'm very sorry. That's what its name was.
I liked your other cat's name.
Oh, Shitball?
Yeah, Shitball's great.
Shitball was a white cat that constantly had dirt in it, so my mom called it Shitball, and it stuck. Its name was Shitball.
He was a great cat. So yeah, I think that's enough of Cat Fact Animal Corner.
That's Cat Facts Animal Corner. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. We're not gonna do that again. So they have a plan. They're gonna morph into Fluffer McKitty.
Yeah.
And Rachel is going to infiltrate the house.
Yeah, and I think it's a good plan, right? But like their idea for capturing Fluffer McKitty is not like the best plan. I don't know how they messed this up so bad.
They fucked this up real bad.
Right.
But,
so
I mean, they fuck it up in a way that it
makes for a good story.
It makes for a good story, and it also introduces an idea that will probably come back later. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. So
Cassie's like, Fluffer McKitty is a tomcat. You need to be careful. Tomcats like two things. They like to fight, they like to hunt, and additionally a third thing is they like to fuck.
Cassie does not mention the fucking part.
But they mention how the fighting and mating of tomcats, like, they get wild.
There's a lot of talk about like the dominant tomcat.
Yeah, which
right?
Fluffer McKitty happens to be, despite that name.
Kind of. We'll get into that later. But ultimately, like, you know, Fluffer McKitty is kind of a wildcat, right? And Cassie's warning Fluffer McKitty about the wildcat nature here. So they come in with a carrier, and they say, like, all right, we're going to capture this cat. How? First, I think Marco just kind of goes up, tries to grab Fluffer McKitty.
Yeah, it gets his ass slashed.
Right.
I was like, hell yeah, I'm rooting for Fluffer. I know Marco's one of the 5 main characters.
In general, I think I'm, like, throughout the book, I'm rooting for Fluffer.
Oh, yeah.
Fluffer gets kind of a bad shake in this whole thing.
Tobias is flying around. He's like, hey, I got Fluffer 2 blocks down. He's headed your way. Let's get him. Like, I fucking love that Tobias is just like...
Tobias has turned into a Tom Clancy novel at this point.
Yeah, he's like...
He's 12 clicks up.
Yeah, he's 12 clicks up, 30 clicks over. I see a vole. There's a shrew, some rats. And they're like, there are rats in the city. And Tobias is like, there are juicy, delicious rats everywhere. And it's like, oh.
Might I mention, like clicks in kilometer? I know that they're not like 30 kilometers away. Don't write in corrections. Yeah. I won't give you my email.
We don't do corrections.
That's right.
Everything we say is true.
100% true. So yeah, Tobias. I love how Tobias knows the location of every rat.
Oh yeah, he's like, I found every rat. This one's most delicious.
Because like, here's the thing, he's been a bird for like 2 weeks. He's eaten more than a couple rats.
Well, let's not get into that.
I'm just saying, like, here, I haven't read the next book, so I know that. Like, as an ignorant person, he's eaten some rats.
Let me tell you.
We're very excited for the next book, but like...
So he has not eaten any rats.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You are going to love the next book.
All right. Well, I thought reading this that...
Well, yeah, he talks about it like, there's a guy who likes to eat a good rat.
Yeah, like, I don't talk about a rat in the way that's like, that Tobias talks about a rat.
Which...
Like, juicy.
Which in the next book, you'll see why he talks about it like that, and it's... fantastic.
So plump.
So juicy. A little bit of plague. Yersinia pestis, that's the name of the bacteria on the plague rats. The fleas of the plague rats.
This is not Rat Animal Corner.
Yeah, we'll get... when they introduce David, we'll do Rat Animal Corner.
No. Anyway, so Marco gets slapped down
slapped real good. Like,
by that cat. And now, like, the cat's just, like, fucked off into a tree.
The cat's like, fuck you, I'm going up a tree.
Yeah.
You dumbass humans fucked my shit up.
So, like, all of them are just like, we can't get this cat for whatever reason.
Right.
Apparently, they can't climb a tree.
Yeah, 5 kids can't team together and climb a tree.
Right. So what's the brilliant plan that Rachel, the bravest, comes up with?
So Rachel says, well, here's the thing. Tobias, you catch me a mouse, you give me that mouse, I'll turn into a mouse, I'll lure that cat down, you'll grab the cat before it eats me, and then I'll turn into the cat.
Yeah. Tobias is okay with this plan.
Yeah, he's like, do I get to hunt a mouse? Yeah, I'll do that for you, Rachel. You're my favorite person. I'll definitely hunt this mouse for you.
Like, are the other, like, Animorphs into the plan? Like, are they cool with it? Like, because generally throughout this entire book, like, the other Animorphs kind of, like, Rachel, stop being an idiot.
Right, that's...
And I think, like, they do kind of mention, like, you know, this isn't a bad idea. But I think it kind of goes straight into Mousetown, right?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, so Tobias gets a mouse, right?
What he thinks is a mouse.
Hold on, I'm going to read it, because
please.
this is a great line. All right, so this is Tobias speaking. I got something for you. A baby mouse. A mean baby mouse. It keeps on trying to bite me. Tobias flew in a low, tight circle overhead, disappearing behind the tree branches, then reappearing. Are you ready? I took a deep breath, and I gave him a wave. Sure, I was ready. Why wouldn't I be ready to have a hawk hand me a mouse?
That's a beautiful sentence.
That's a beautiful line.
Catherine Alice Applegate, you're great.
If anyone wants to send me a cross stitch of why wouldn't a hawk hand me a mouse,
Right.
I'd proudly post that on my wall. Let's put it right there. Wake up to it every morning. Because that's a great line.
So Tobias drops the mouse.
Yeah, like there's a lot of Tobias like dropping stuff for the Animorphs.
In the next book he gets a purse.
Oh man, he's like
great.
It's great. So just drops a mouse in not Cassie and Rachel's hand.
Yeah.
And Cassie says, "Don't let it bite you, rabies," because
Right, and she's like, you should all get your rabies shots, by the way.
good advice.
Good advice. Hey, I'm a nurse, and I'm here to say it's Tyler's nurse advice. Mm-hmm. Get your shots. We're talking vaccines. We're talking tetanus. We're talking Gardasil. We're talking rabies.
Secret autism, get that one too. Oh no.
I don't endorse the secret autism vaccine.
Sorry, I'll cut this out. We didn't talk about the secret autism vaccine.
Oh, hey, Jeff Epstein.
Shut up. This is secret.
So they should get their shots.
Okay. Which is great advice.
And so Rachel says, I wasn't planning on feeding him my finger. Hey, wait, Cassie pried open my hands to get a better look. That's not a mouse. That's a shrew. See the eyes? They're too small. And the tail is wrong. That's not a baby mouse, Tobias. It's a full-grown shrew. Sorry. Is that bad? Sorry, is that thought speak? How did we do it last time?
Sorry. Is that bad?
Is that thought speak?
I thought it was just like, normal talk.
Okay.
I didn't think it would be like a wacky echo.
Okay. And so Marco, goes off. He's like, wait, Rachel's going to turn into a shrew? She's already a shrew, that unlovable bitch.
Yeah, kids love Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah, that's one thing I remember as a child was how much I loved making Taming of the Shrew references.
Marco, in particular, seems like the type of character that would love Taming of the Shrew.
The character who's really good at crossing the Nether Fjord and fighting sleaze trolls loves Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah. There's a lot of just like hello kids energy in this book.
But so she absorbs the shrew's DNA.
Right.
Turns into the shrew.
Yeah, puts the shrew into a trance.
Yeah.
As you do.
Acquiring it, as they call it. So what happens when she acquires the shrew?
What that she turns into the shrew?
Yeah, what happens when she turns into the shrew?
Well here, I didn't have this dog-eared.
Well, I'll go off. She gets overwhelmed by the fear of being a shrew.
Yeah, and she knew about Jake's experience as a lizard.
But
right, and she knew that
right.
So Jake told me that this is going to get weird and the lizard brain's going to want to take over.
Right. But she was not she didn't understand exactly how overwhelming.
It's one thing hearing it, it's another thing kind of experiencing it. So, here's a good part. Okay. I heard a voice and sort of understand it, but it was more like a distant thunder. It didn't really mean anything, at least not to the shrew. I was looking for a way out. The brain might have been terrified, but it was also amazingly smart. It was evaluating every possible escape route. It was measuring the distance between the 3 sets of legs. One set moved slightly. I was off like a shot. Running. Blades of grass seemed 6 feet tall. Twigs were like fallen trees that I had to scramble over. My little feet moved with incredible speed. I scooted past a beetle, and it seemed as big as a dog. Rachel, you have to get control. Right, and it just kind of goes into the fear that she feels is true. And here's the very specific one, which she kind of gets some weird PTSD from, right? And so at the same time, there were other feelings. Hunger. I smelled nuts. I smelled dead flesh. I even smelled the maggots squirming on the dead flesh. And I wanted them. I know it's gross, but I wanted to eat the maggots.
It's that's a gross thought.
Well, also,
as an adult, that's a disgusting thought.
And I think also a part of my brain is Wait, do shrews like eat maggots?
I didn't do a shrew report.
I know, like honestly, we should have done the shrew report, but like the animal on the cover was a cat because putting a shrew on the cover would be weird.
I got this. She smells the maggots and she wants to eat the maggots.
You don't think of cute animals eating gross garbage,
Right? It's like
is really the lesson I'm getting away from.
When I picture a shrew, I picture a cute little forest creature.
Yeah, it eats seeds.
Like I'm picturing some Redwall shit.
It eats some seeds. It eats some nuts, maybe fruit.
It
doesn't like find like dead flesh.
Yeah, it's like, oh look, a dead animal. Why don't I stuff myself like a fat little pig?
Yeah, I'm just gonna like pork down on some maggots.
Which I loved that was immediately where it went. She's like, I'm afraid of everything, and I want to eat the dead.
Yeah, and ultimately that's the lesson of small animals is fear and hunger.
Right, and she even says, fear, hunger, run. That's the motivations of being the shrew.
Yeah. I imagine also a medieval peasant, probably. That's all they fear, hunger, and run.
Oh, yeah.
Or shamble, I suppose.
Yeah. But it works.
Yeah.
Her turning into the shrew, she gains control.
Right.
They lure the cat from the tree. Mm-hmm. It jumps for Rachel. They capture Fluffer McKitty.
Yeah, and in a admittedly kind of a cool way. Like, it like jumps after the shrew, trying to eat it. Mm-hmm. And then I want to say like Jake probably swooped in and got it.
Right. But they...
Swooped?
Swooped.
I will swooped in and get it.
So, Jake... she morphs back, acquires the cat, but she's like...
Oh, wait. No, hold on. I got that wrong.
What?
So instead of yes, they capture the cat, but like she was about to like get pounced, and Tobias actually goes in and grabs Rachel and flies off with her.
Oh, that's so much cooler. Why didn't I write that down in my notes?
Yeah, like I just was reading through that, and it was like, did my talons hurt you? So like
Tobias is so cool. He's a way better leader than fucking Jake.
Yeah, and also like this also tells me he's 100% control of being a bird.
Yeah, it's like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
and so he saves her.
Right.
They grab Fluffer McKitty. Mm-hmm. She morphs back, realized that she's fucking tired because that morph took a lot out of her because her fight or flight was so engaged that it just took all her energy. And, they don't know how many morphs they can do in one day without feeling completely exhausted.
Yeah.
And this one knocked her the fuck out. And Jake's like, oh, it's my fault. This is a stupid plan. I'm the one who suggested Melissa.
Yeah, Jake definitely likes to martyr himself.
Yeah, he does that martyr shit. And Rachel's like, no, I came up with this plan. It's my thing. Which is another thing I love about Rachel. She's like, fuck you. This is not about you, Jake. I did this. Eat shit.
Yeah, and also highlights how much Jake sucks because he's trying to take all the credit of oh, if only I saved you in time.
Right. It's why didn't I do better at this? I just want to be a stunt man, jump from windows, turn into a bird. I hate him.
Jake,
I fucking hate him.
Jake blows. So they acquire Rachel acquires Fluffer.
So she's like, oh, I'm tired. Jake's like, oh, poor me for being such a bad leader.
Yeah, and they just decide to
just
go
garbage.
to sleep. They go to sleep.
They're like, let's call it a day.
Yeah.
Let's go home. Let's do this. Let's do this for later.
Yeah.
And that is when the nightmares hit.
I love Animorph PTSD.
So this, I'm going to tell you, it's foreshadowing something later.
Okay.
But I'm not going to tell you what, but it's
good.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
So Rachel is awoken by her sister Jordan.
Yeah.
And Jordan's like, you were screaming in your sleep. And Rachel's like, all I could think of were maggots and fear. She's dreaming of maggots and fear. And she has this thought, it's consuming her. And she's like, maybe some people just can't handle some morphs, which I think is a great limitation of morphing.
Well, and it's also if you think about a person turning into an animal, I don't have any strong animal phobias, but I know people that do. Mm-hmm. And imagine if somebody who has a large snake phobia has to turn into a snake. I mean, obviously they're not going to be able to operate as a snake properly. Mm-hmm. They're not going to come out of it unscathed.
Right. And I think Catherine Alice Applegate. I gotta shorten that somehow. If someone could write in and tell me how to shorten Catherine Alice Applegate, that'd be great. She's also
Kathy Alice Applegate.
Kathy Apples.
Kath Apples.
We'll call her Cathles.
Cathables.
So she makes this point where maybe if the Morph's natural persona or motivating emotion doesn't jive with someone, maybe that Morph can't exist within them, which is the point I thought they were making, which I thought was kind of cool. Like, Rachel's not someone who's naturally afraid of anything. She got scared of a rapist, but then immediately realized she could fuck this guy up. She is afraid of Principal Chapman, but is still... She made herself get in a car with him. She is making herself infiltrate that place. She's brave.
Right.
Fear is not in her vocabulary. I mean, it is. But
yeah, but like like when she later morphs into a cat, she feels the cat, I think, in a different way than like she did her other morphs.
Right.
Where
absolutely.
like the cat just didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And like I think, she doesn't either. She has that cat personality of like
I'm confident, I am strong, I do not give a fuck.
Right. And like it also tells me more about Cassie, like she loves the horse. She loves the strength of a horse.
Yeah.
She loves running free and being free like a horse.
Yeah.
Cassie loves. Listen. I think I want to be a horse.
Okay.
I want to be a strong horse.
Okay.
I want to be a brave horse.
So, back on track. Rachel also wonders, because she's dreaming about being a shrew. She wonders if the animal DNA lives inside of her and they come out in dreams. Which I think is an interesting idea.
Well, yeah.
It's like, does this animal inside you, it needs to come out, it needs to express itself, so it takes over during sleep.
What are the side effects of turning into an animal?
Right. What does this power do to them?
Are they going to get like some weird Gulf War syndrome from turning into animals? Again, in the 90s.
Yeah.
And also, like, is this where they talk about like the limits of like, hey, how many like animals can we acquire at once?
Right.
If like Cassie just ran through the zoo and started slapping every single animal in the zoo, like what would that do to her?
One, that's not how acquiring DNA works, and two,
slapping them.
I'm over that character. I'd rather just watch her slap animals. But I mean, she's like comforts her sister, and her sister comforts her, and she's like, "Don't tell Mom. I just had a bad dream. It's fine." But she goes back to her bed, and she's like, the bed is covered in sweat, and it reminded her of the wet, sweaty, dead flesh maggots.
Right. Like, and also, like, the siblings know something is up. They're awfully suspicious, and also, like, naive in a way that I think younger kids just are. Like, one of them says, I can't believe you would just forget a dream that made you scream and hurl.
Right.
Which, like, as an adult, if you had a dream that made you scream and hurl, I'm like, okay, like, something's up, and we need to talk.
Yeah.
So like I like that. I like the like level of innocence that's going on with like the younger siblings, and hopefully they go into like the younger siblings a little bit more later in the books.
Hopefully,
I'm sure they will.
And at that, we come to chapter 10, which is the cat heist, which is what I wrote in my notes. Cat heist! ! Because it is time for a cat heist.
Man, I love a good heist.
The first book was marked by chase scenes.
Yeah, there wasn't much of a plan. It's like Jake said, I'm going to turn into a dog.
Yeah, we're going to sneak in here, have no plan, smash things as an elephant, run away.
Yeah.
That was their plan.
But this is like they draw a diagram, they have a clear, concise plan.
This is like, we are sneaking into that house,
right.
We are going to follow Vice Principal Chapman, and we're going to figure some shit out.
The royal we. Really, it's just Rachel.
It's Rachel.
Yeah.
Tobias is going to be there providing thought speak moral support, which he does.
He does a good job of it, too.
Yeah. And so begins the cat heist.
Yeah,
like
Tobias...
I want to read to you turning into a cat.
Okay.
I began to shrink, but it was strange because as I shrank and my outer clothing slithered off me, I didn't feel like I was getting smaller. I felt more like I was getting stronger. It was like I was shedding all this unnecessary stuff, these clumsy long legs, these ridiculous weak arms. I felt like I'd been boiled down to my absolute essentials, like I wasn't even made out of plain old flesh and bones anymore. I felt like liquid steel. I didn't feel the fear of the shrew. I didn't feel the total confidence of the elephant either, or of the eagle. This was different. This was fear, sure, but underneath the fear was confidence. The cat knew there were enemies out there, but he also knew he could handle it. I felt tough. That was it. Tough. Then the cat senses started sending messages to my brain. Whoa! I yelled in surprise. Suddenly it isn't a nightmare anymore. I mean, wow. Talk about night vision. So they talk about how cats' vision can see 8 times humans. Blah, blah, blah.
Right, like they throw out the cat facts.
Cassie's like, here's some cat facts. Does not mention toxoplasmosis. Does not mention barb penis.
Right, Cassie.
That's what Nate and Tyler are here to give to you.
Right,
supplemental Animorph cat facts and I guess other animal facts.
Cassie just wants to know what she wants to learn. Like she doesn't learn the truth.
No. Let me continue.
Okay.
A human being will notice colors, for example. Now, a cat can see colors more or less. He just isn't interested in colors. It's like, okay, the thing is red, who cares? What cats really notice is movement. If anything moves, even the tiniest bit, the cat sees it. I was standing there on the grass, looking around with my big cat eyes, and I saw nothing but movement. I saw every blade of grass that moved in the breeze. I saw every bug that crawled across those blades of grass. I saw every bird and every tree as it fluffed its wings. And boy, did I see the mice and the squirrels and the rats. There was a mouse no more than 20 feet away. I could see the individual whiskers on his little snout when they twitched. Things that were not moving were boring to me. If the mouse just stayed completely still, I would forget he was even there.
So cats are T-Rexes.
Yeah, and she just...
Which makes sense.
She leans into the cat confidence. She's like, I'm a fucking badass. I'm a fucking feline force of nature. I'm gonna fuck your shit up.
Right. Ends the chapter with hiss.
Hiss. Yeah. It was.
I love it.
It, like, yeah. So Tobias freaks her out.
Well, yeah, because Tobias is a giant fucking bird.
That's why she hits us, because Tobias flies over. She's like, She, as Fluffer McKitty, is ready to kill Tobias.
And so, like, this really leans into something that, like, I think we talked about last time, but, like, the idea of, like, getting out the animal.
Yeah.
Like, the movie Get Out, right? Like,
right.
You know, takes the animal brain and kind of puts it into the sunken place where you can kind of communicate with the cat, like, hey, listen, cat, I need your help to, say, jump onto this thing or do a cat thing.
It's like, I'm going to let go of being a human so I can let the natural instincts of this animal do what it needs to do.
Which, like, brings up some real big moral questions of what's happening. Like, is there a Fluffer McKittens that is kind of, like, in the sunken place that is held captive?
Oh, boy. I didn't even fucking think of that.
By Rachel. And so, like, hold on. This gets even deeper. Is Rachel now a yeerk to this cat?
Oh, no.
Right? Like,
oh, God.
Like, I was thinking about this. Because, like, what if Rachel is now, like, kind of this invading species who took over the soul of this cat and now is controlling it and now, like, kind of lets it out when it needs to, when it's convenient, and then puts Fluffer McKittens back in. And it all depends on whether or not you think animals have kind of a soul or consciousness, at the very least.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So, I hope they go into that later in the books.
Hey, if anyone out there knows if animals have a soul, please write us.
Please write in.
Please tweet at us. Let us know if animals have
tweet
souls.
in at, what's our Twitter?
Animorphin Time?
Animorphin Time. Please tweet into Animorphin Time. Let us know if animals have souls.
Please. I would really like to solve this dilemma as fast as possible. Thank you.
If you're a philosopher, don't respond.
Please. We don't want to hear your didactic bullshit.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, chapter 10 is all just, like, turning into a cat.
Yeah, and chapter 11, where she's, like, leaning into it, like, I was ready to fight. I was pumped. Kill or be killed. Those are direct quotes, by the way.
Yeah, well, hold on. There's even cool, like, allegory that...
Okay, go on.
Yeah, here we go. She lost control of it, but now she's kind of back. Like, okay, I said, I'm pretty much in control. What's it like, Cassie asked. It's like... You know those old cowboy movies with Clint Eastwood? Mm-hmm. He's a gunslinger, and he walks into the saloon, and everyone kind of gets out of his way. And how he's, like, not really looking for trouble, but if you better not make him bad. It's like that. It's like, I'm Clint Eastwood. And my note I wrote in the book there was that, just like Clint Eastwood, he's kind of... confident and jittery and will shoot anybody.
All right, yeah, fair.
Oh, no, hold on. She's also jumping entitled like Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
So
she really doesn't want any Asians to get her Gran Torino.
Is that what that movie's about?
Get off of my car!
All right.
It's about a racist old grandpa who makes friends with a person
gun
of color. And gives his supercar to his Asian neighbor, and it really pisses off his white entitled family. It's a pretty good movie.
Do you want, like, now? Yeah, now think about it. Like, that's just like a cat.
So she goes into Chapman's house, does cat stuff. She's like, "Oh, I smell myself everywhere. This is my
Well,
home."
she smells like a dominant tomcat that she's kind of afraid of.
Oh yeah, she does smell another tomcat, and she's like, "I'm gonna fuck this cat up.
No,
it's gonna fuck me up.
Right, like she immediately understands the nature of the world and that this cat is larger and will beat her up.
She's like, this cat's gonna fuck me up. I'm going in the house.
Right. She made herself. I would have to make myself smaller and less threatening to accept his dominance. Is the quote?
Which is also how I date.
You gotta make yourself smaller.
Hi, excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm Tyler. I'm the gentleman here to date you. You are a beautiful lady, and I'm going to make myself smaller and submit to your dominance.
That's what Mystery says, right?
Yeah.
From like, he's a pickup artist. He says, make yourself smaller.
No, when I'm like in a bar and I'm vibing with a girl, we're having a good time, and I think my night's going one way, I just roll on my bag and expose my belly. So she knows that she's in charge. She's safe. She's in control.
Yeah.
So, for the sake of brevity, she follows Principal Chapman down to the basement.
Right, yeah.
He pushes a hidden button on his wall, and she says the door opens like Star Trek to this little pod. There's a computer and a desk. She's like, I'm a cat. I'm just going to follow him in.
Right. It doesn't lead directly to whatever pool is.
No, it's just like
the last one.
It's like, it's like fucking Star Wars when they're talking to the Emperor.
Super speaker. Yeah, like honestly, I was getting some Star Wars vibes.
Yeah.
Because like what immediately happens is that, Chapman presses buttons on the computer and up comes a hologram.
Yeah, a hologram of Visser 3, the badass yeerk.
My main man, Visser
evil
3.
and loving it.
I love Visser 3.
Who's an Andalite, and he shows up and he's like, Innis 226, which is the name of the yeerk.
Hold on, wait. You didn't look down at your notes.
I didn't look down at my notes.
You knew Innis 226.
Principal Chapman.
Right.
It's like...
Hold on, wait. Like, you didn't say his full name, though. Innis 226 of the Slupnyar pool submits to you. May the Kindora rays shine and strengthen you.
And you as well. It's very Handmaid's Tale. It's like, may the Lord open.
Like, it's a polite society full of structure and rules. And, like, the coolest part of, like, the conversations between Innis 226 and Visser 3 is, like, it kind of gives a glimpse into yeerk society.
Yeah, they talk about a council of 13. He's like, Innis 226, if you fail me, I'll kill you.
Their pool seems like they're kind of like cities, like it's your hometown.
Yeah.
And it like denotes your rank, right? The numbers aren't just a cool name. It's also kind of like where you are in the strata of like the society.
Yeah.
So 226 like probably isn't like that high up.
No, but he's high up enough.
High up enough to like be given some responsibility. I feel like this is kind of a test for him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, where it feels like a test.
Like, listen, if you pull this off, if you're able to capture the rogue Andalites, right?
It's like, this is gonna be big for you, guy.
Yeah, you're gonna get that promotion. You're gonna get that like really nice cool brain. No more of this Chapman business. Actually, he doesn't say that.
But I mean,
he's gonna get like respect.
Yeah, and so Visser 3 keys in's like, what's this cat doing in the room?
Right.
And he fucking whips its tail at the cat, and Rachel in cat form swipes at it. Yeah. Visser 3's like, ha, what a brave little creature. 'Tis a pity we cannot enslave such a small beast.
Like, I like the idea of, like, if it was given between cats and humans, we'd do cats if they're just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's like, if these were larger, they're very cool. Now, please, kill this beast.
Kill it immediately.
Kill it immediately. That's what Visser 3 says.
Right, because, like, Visser 3 is paranoid.
Yeah, rightly so. He's the bad guy.
But also, he knows, like, listen... Anyone can be an Animorph.
He's
not Animorph, but like an
Andalite warrior. Right. He's ruthless. It's like an easy calculus for him. Just kill anything that I don't know.
If I can capture or use it, make it dead.
Yeah, it doesn't need.
Which
to
is why he rules.
It's like you know what you're getting with Visser 3.
Right.
And Innis 226 is like, it belongs to the host's daughter, and it would raise questions. And he's like, oh, okay. If it will raise questions, let's not do it. Just, be mindful.
Well, I think also, like, he just respects cats. Like, I
he
think,
does. He gets an instant respect. He's like, this creature did not even fear me. What a fucking cool dude. It's like, hey, anyone out there that listens to this, if you draw me a picture of Visser 3, like, high-fiving a cat...
That'd be great.
Fuck it, I'll do it myself. It'll be bad. But
would you get that tattoo?
I'm not against that at all.
Hell, I'd get that tattoo. Like, honestly, if somebody like took the time and respect, I would get that tattoo.
Right. And Rachel plays it cool. She doesn't react to understanding that Visser 3 wants it dead. So she convinces Visser 3, and Chapman. It's
Well,
just a cat.
she leans on the cat brain. Like, like the human brain is fucking terrified.
Right.
But the cat brain just doesn't care.
Yeah, he does.
It's like, I can't smell this weird hologram,
Right.
nor do I really care about humans, so I'm just going to go about my business
Right.
and look for bugs to eat.
And you realize
Yeah.
that this yeerk made a kind of deal with Principal Chapman. And Visser 3 is like, okay.
So wait, you got, like, the idea that there was a deal made with Chapman?
Yeah, and they mention it later.
Yeah, they mention it later, but, like, I wasn't there at this point. I was just like, okay, he's gotten taken over. And just like
by chapter 13, I was like, I think he even says...
Well, yeah, he mentions it later on, right? And we'll get to that when it's, like,
he
the
says,
bigger confrontation, but...
hold on. Interesting. Clause... Let me throw on a Visser 3 kind of
Please do.
character. What is it doing? Visser 3 demanded. It is signaling that it wishes to be fed. Interesting. Claws and teeth and ferocity mixed with the subtlety to manipulate creatures larger than itself. A worthy creature. Yes. Let it live. For now. Let it live until we have resolved the matter of the girl. Chapman's face actually seemed to twitch. It was the only emotion he had shown, other than fear. The girl? But, Visser, the agreement with the human Chapman. Visser 3 sneered. Agreements? Don't be a fool. We make agreements to gain voluntary host. Agreements are a tool, just as you are my tool. If you had brought me the Andalite bandits, I would not have to concern myself with a cat or a girl. Chapman bowed his head. I will bring them to you. Do that, Visser 3 said coldly. And then the solid-seeming image began to change. The gentle Andalite body melted away, and in its place grew a monster like nothing ever seen on Earth. Here it comes.
I love it.
Where the Andalite head had been, there was now a long, thick tube. There was an opening like some horrible mouth at the end of the tube. The thing was purple, but translucent. You could almost see through it, although I wasn't sure if that was because it was a hologram or if the animal itself was that way. The hologram Visser lowered the tube mouth toward Chapman's head. The mouth opened, revealing hundreds, maybe thousands of tiny suckers, each dripping slime. It seemed as if the tube mouth closed over Chapman's head. Chapman shook and quivered in terror. Visser 3's artificial voice said, Don't forget, Innis 226. I gave you this Chapman body. I placed you in his head because I trusted you. I fed you his brain and made you my lieutenant. But I can suck you back out again if you fail me. Would you like to see what happened to the last fool who failed me? Suddenly an image appeared in the air, like a little movie. It was a second hologram. It showed a human woman, pain-racked, screaming with the purple creature sucking on her head. The real Chapman began to moan. Oh no, Visser. I beg you. In the little movie, the translucent purple thing suddenly went into a spasm. From the woman's ear came the slug. It was sucked, dripping gray, slimy, right out of her head. The purple creature swallowed the yeerk slug. Then the little movie ended. Not a very pretty picture, is it, Innis 226? Chapman just shook his head. His eyes were still staring at the empty air where the image had appeared. Visser 3 began to resume the Andalite form. Don't fail me, Visser 3 said.
Visser 3 rules.
Visser 3 rules.
He's the best character.
So,
there's so much going on here. First off, can I quote one of my favorite movies?
Yeah, please.
They sucked his brain out.
That's in my notes. I wrote, they sucked his brains out.
God man. Because they sucked his brains out.
They sucked his
There's
brains
so much going on in this scene because, what happens is... Okay, here's the thing that we learn about Visser 3, right? There's something called the yeerk bane, right?
Yeah, the Van Arks is its name, but they call it the yeerk bane.
Right. So, this is how rad Visser 3 is. Not only, is he cool with, just taking on that form... He's also cool with, he acquired that.
He acquired that,
right.
And he eats his fellow yeerks.
Right. He ate his underling.
Yeah.
A fucking Darth Vader did not, eat, what was the lieutenant's name?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, he didn't eat Tarkin.
No. Visser 3 doesn't give a fuck.
No, he gives a fuck. He loves fear. He loves creating fear. He loves, expounding fear out into the world.
And this little peek into the yeerk hierarchy, my favorite bit of this comes directly after this. Mm-hmm. When Innis 226 goes up to talk to Mrs. Chapman, who also has a yeerk in her brain.
There's so much to talk about Mrs. Chapman.
And he's like, Visser 3 has a Van Arks. And she's like, you mean a yeerk bane?
But okay,
and he's like, he threatened me with the yeerk bane. He says he's going to eat my brain. And the Mrs. Chapman's like, I wish we could go to the Council 13 and tell them what a shit Visser 3 is and how he's ruining this invasion.
Miss Chapman is like a total Karen.
And it's like, so this whole time it's like...
let me speak to the Visser 3's manager.
Let me speak to the government's manager, please. But this whole time you think Visser 3 is just like this evil, like he's got the yeerks behind him, he's doing all this stuff. You kind of figure out Visser 3 is like a crazy fucking monster, and that most yeerks are like, that's too much for me. Like, yeah, taking over planets... But eating our friends and killing our buddies, not for me.
Well, imagine, if you will, the president had, like, just on TV, he's just like, check this out, and ate somebody whole.
Yeah. Like, look, we couldn't pass this Muslim ban. I'm going to eat Stephen Miller.
Well, I mean, like, nobody could digest Stephen Miller. There's too much poison.
Yeah, you don't eat your own shit.
Hot political.
Hot takes. Hot takes.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that's rad.
So you find that there's division among the yeerks about what should be happening, which I think is...
Yeah, and also Visser 3 is like not the head honcho. There's this council.
Yeah, there's like this Council of 13, whatever that is.
Yeah, but like I like that backstory. I like that kind of like, let's learn more about Visser 3. Let's learn about yeerk hierarchy.
Yeah.
Let's learn more about Cadron Rays. Apparently I didn't know that they just have like a Cadron.
Yeah, it's just...
We don't know what it looks like yet, but it's like a thing that they have that they just kind of like shovel on, you know.
Yeah, it's
a thing.
It's a thing. They'll get into it.
So that's cool.
And then after that, Melissa comes down and she's like, I need help with my math. And the parents are like, that is okay. We will not help you now. Please do your homework alone. Like, that's pretty much how they talk to her.
Right. Square roots are hard to understand, aren't they? But I know you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like very vague. Like, she writes this well. And Rachel even says, it's like, they're saying the right things, but there's no feeling behind it.
Right, like, it makes you wonder about Kathy Apples.
Kath Apples.
Kath Apples.
Apples.
It makes you wonder about, like, what her home life was.
Yeah.
Like, because she's really good at, like, you know, kind of writing, like, unloving parent dialogue.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and, like, well, and that's something that Rachel calls out. It's like, there was something missing. Humanity. Love, call it what you want, but the words weren't right. They were completely wrong.
Right. There was just nothing there.
It wasn't like, hey, listen, I know this is hard, but I'll get with you later. I'm doing something very important with a slug here.
Right. It was
just like it was like what humans say.
Right. It definitely reminded me of Body Snatchers. Like the original Body Snatchers, when you think like that woman's husband is taken by the Body Snatchers and just sitting in the living room quietly. Like they even mentioned in this, like when Rachel sees Chapman, he's just sitting there with the TV off. And the mom's just standing in the kitchen.
I think once we get to like book 20, we should do a viewing of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
All right, we can do that. But so she's like, oh my god. So Rachel, as Fluffer McKitty, goes up, and Melissa's crying. She's like, why don't they love me anymore?
Yeah.
Why don't my parents love me? And so she's like, oh my god. She doesn't know. She's not a controller. Like, she finds out that Melissa is not a controller, and that Melissa's just depressed and destroyed because she's like,
her parents are acting unloving and weird.
Yeah, there's no love in that house.
So this is obviously a divorce analogy, right? Like, so it's like Rachel with her divorced parents.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're acting weird and unloving, and it must be me, right? So I think that's kind of like Kathy Apple's way of kind of addressing that in the form of like, oh, but your parents are actually aliens.
And it gives a personal reason for Rachel to care about this war. She even says, this is just my friend's house. What about the thousands of other kids who are having this happen right now?
Right.
That's why I'm in this war.
Right.
Which I thought, fuck, that's a good reason.
Yeah. Like, you know what the great thing about reading the Kindle version of this is? That you actually notice, like, the times that things are highlighted in a book, and it tells you how often it's highlighted. Please fund us, Kindle.
Hey.
Amazon.
Hey.
Jeff Bezos, Beezy Boy, give me money.
Hey, Jeff Bezos, 2 things. 1, pay your workers a living wage. 2, please give us some of that living wage.
Hell yeah. But, like, this is a nice thing that, like, that other people highlighted, and I highlighted as well. So she's talking about, like, you know, kind of giving comfort to Melissa as a cat.
Yeah.
Right? So she was still crying, still scratching slowly behind my ears. What did I do, Fluffer? She asked. Why won't they love me anymore? And I felt like my own heart would break right then, because I knew now why Melissa had stopped hanging out with me. I knew why she had become more withdrawn, and I knew how little hope there was for her, right? Because her parents are now yeerk controller things. My stomach turned and twisted. Next time Marco asked me why we were fighting the yeerks, I knew I would have a whole new answer because they destroyed the love of parents for their daughters. Because they made Melissa Chapman cry in our bed with no one to comfort her but a cat.
Ooh.
Right? Which, like, that cuts.
That cuts. That's like,
that's
when my parents would fight,
yeah.
It's like, I couldn't talk to them. They didn't. They were doing their own bullshit.
You had no one really to go to, except for, like, a cat.
I had toys, or I would put on the movie Scream 2 or RoboCop.
Scream 2 comforts you when you are down.
It's more than it really should. I love that movie.
Right. So, like, it's like that, but that's a real moment, and like there are a lot of real moments in this volume of Animorphs, which I really
way
appreciate.
More than the first one.
Yeah.
Like this one has human emotions to it.
So eventually, like, she's like, okay, all the other Animorphs are kind of getting antsy about like, listen, you need to stop being a cat. You need to get out. This is a mission, and you need to go.
Yeah.
And she does, right? Because obviously she can't be a cat over 2 hours.
Tobias is like, get out of there, please. 2 hours.
Yeah. There's a time limit, and so they do that, and then they kind of just go home.
Yeah. They're like, okay, we're going to come do this again. We're going to get more information because we don't know where the yeerk pools are. And that's their thing.
Which I have, at first they're hesitant. Like, they're not immediately like, Rachel, go out and get more information.
Right.
Because Rachel's the one that comes up with this idea because she never really told them about, like, the dangers that she encountered when she went down there.
No, she's like, I can't tell them this. Everything went fine. Nobody noticed. It's all good. Visser 3 has definitely never seen a kitty cat.
Right. Part of that is because, like, she wants to protect her friend.
Right.
Right? Like, she goes...
She doesn't tell them about Melissa. She doesn't tell them about Visser 3.
Right.
Just that, oh, yeah, they were there. Status report, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much what this chapter is just they talk about...
They're like, we need cool morphing uniforms like the X-Men.
Oh, yeah, like, is Marco the person that brings it up? Or?
Yeah, Marco brings it up. He's like, I don't like how you're wearing a purple top and green leggings. Purple and green, you can't, comic book characters don't wear that. And I'm like, Marco, Mysterio, Green Goblin, the Joker. And
also, purple and green is like a great color combination.
And then I thought,
talking about.
Oh yeah, those are villains, so maybe Marco's kind of right.
Yeah, but like purple and green, though, they work.
Those colors go well together. I wear a lot of purple, I wear a lot of green. It's fine. It's fine.
And also, like, this chapter goes into some, like, hot Tobias tips. Like, they're warning her about the 2 hour time limit, right?
Yes.
And Tobias especially knows this well.
Yeah, he's like, hey.
He's like, and they're like flying around. It's like, yes, flying is the nicest thing in the world, I said dreamily. Yes, it is, Tobias agreed. One of the nicest things. But there are things you miss too. Sitting back on the couch with a can of soda and a bag of chips and no school the next day and something good is on TV.
Yeah.
Like, I relate with Tobias 100%.
Oh, yeah. Oh, next book. I relate with Tobias so much. This guy fucking owns.
Man, like honestly, as an adult, I also dream of just, like, laying down, watching some dumb TV with, like, a big thing of pizza Pringles.
Yeah, it's just, you sit there and it's like, oh, man, I just worked for 13 hours. Can I just do nothing?
Can I just eat some Pringles?
Can it be nice not to be a hawk for once? Wouldn't that be great?
Right. So, but like eventually, like Rachel convinces them, like, listen, we need to get in there. We need to find the Cadrona.
Yeah, we need more.
They're specifically looking for the Cadrona, which poops out the rays.
Yeah.
And so they're like, all right, we need to go back in for more information. Right. And she starts the next chapter with, "It was a dark and stormy night."
That's something I actually enjoyed because it starts. It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me find it. It was a dark and stormy night. Sorry, I've always wanted to write that, but it really was a dark and stormy night. So that's just Kathy Apple's like, I'm going to have a little fun with this. It's like, there's some meta commentary here.
I suppose. It seems like a kid joke, though,
I mean, it seems like a kid joke, but...
It's a young adult novel, maybe.
I mean, you've written things, I've written things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to write something hacky and stupid and to make fun of it.
Right.
And also sometimes it's just fun to do things that are hacky and stupid, says two men making a podcast about children's books.
So it was a dark and stormy night.
So it was a dark and stormy night, and they're like, yeah, we're going to do this again.
Right.
But Jake can't go. Jake doesn't show up. They're like, yeah, Jake got grounded. And Rachel's like, what? Why did Jake get grounded? And Margot's like, don't ask me about parents. I only got one.
Yeah.
I don't know why parents do anything. Sometimes moms just die.
Yeah, Marco needs therapy.
He needs therapy so bad.
Right, so, like, she just goes with it. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
she's like, fine, whatever. We've
Jake's
done this
grounded,
before.
Let's just go. So she turns into a cat. She immediately just kind of, like, zips into...
Well, I mean, Cassie leans down and gives her a good little head scratch.
Which is weird.
It's weird. But for good reason.
If you turn into a cat, I would not touch you.
You wouldn't?
No.
I'd be very soft.
I know, but, like, you would, like, get into it. If you scratch, like, a cat's butt, it just kind of, like, lifts up.
Well, yeah, they do that because it's like, let's mate. Did you know that? Why wasn't that in Cat Facts?
I'm just saying I wouldn't want to do that to you.
Okay, fair.
I wouldn't want to arouse you as a cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. But, so she's like, all right, back into the house. We're going to do this again. Right. Same time, different day.
Yeah.
Then she's like, okay, but this time I'm not going to let Chapman see me go in because 2 times, Visser 3 wanted to kill me after 1 time.
Yeah.
If they see me, boom, I'm dead.
It's kind of like, there's this suspicious cat in this room every time we're having a secret conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe this thing is an Andalite.
Maybe something is wrong here.
Right. So she sneaks in and, she's walking down the stairs. And
she hears some thoughts speak.
Right, yeah, because, Chapman turns around. Like, a cool thing in here is, he's going down the stairs. It's safe to follow him because, who looks behind you when you're walking down the stairs?
Right.
Answer, nobody.
Nobody.
But Chapman does.
Yeah.
And she, jumps behind something.
Yeah.
And so Jake says, what was that? And she's like, Jake, how can I hear your voice, Jake?
Yeah, what the fuck? Where are you? You're not even here. You let me do this alone, Jake. You really are a bad leader. I can't believe you.
Yeah, and Jake's like, I'm a flea?
Yeah. I'm a flea on your back right now. Cassie, when she pet you, put me on you.
And so, I was really bummed out when I read that.
Why?
Because I got excited for, the time they finally turn into a bug.
Oh, yeah, it was totally nothing.
Right, and I was like, oh, shit. That's going to be a big thing because what if they totally lose control? And, it's hour and a half later, they're just kind of in a corner banging their head against the wall. And they're like, you're a human, come back!
An NPC who just clips into the wall.
Right, and I was waiting for that moment and it never came because Jake just kind of nailed it, I guess.
It wasn't even that he nailed it. He's like, actually, insect brains are kind of stupid, so I can just take control. All I feel is impulses. It's like, there's warmth and blood I want to eat here.
Yeah,
there's no warmth and blood. Which, it kind of made sense, but also, it was kind of a cop-out.
Yeah, I was hoping for more. Listen, we're gonna get more descriptions of them turning into a bug. I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's gonna happen. But I was just I was waiting for that moment. I kind of felt some build up to it, and it just didn't happen. So that was a bit of a bummer.
And so
apparently, they hatched this plan of Tobias, because Tobias was sending secret thought messages. Text.
He's the real fucking leader.
Yeah, he is. Leading from the shadows. He's the deep state of the Animorphs.
Yeah.
And
where we go one, we go all. Tobias says as he puts a flea on the cat.
Right. But it's true though, and so apparently Tobias was worried because Rachel was acting weird.
Yeah.
During the whole heist.
He has a connection with her. They have a connection.
Yeah, they do. And
it does get explored next book.
Right, and so he was hatching a plan with the non-Rachel Animorphs of hey, listen, we need somebody to tag along with Rachel on this next adventure because she's gonna do something stupid. So honestly, yeah, good move because Rachel really shouldn't have been doing this again because in the very next scene,
yeah, so we learned something interesting that they have 2 children that they recruited through the sharing. Their youth group put slugs in your brain group.
Yeah.
And an FBI agent.
Right.
So they're getting people in the FBI.
But Visser 3 doesn't care. He's just no, I don't care. Listen, this is all normal.
I want Andalites. Give me those fucking Andalites.
Right.
And then that's when Chapman shuffles his feet under the desk because the cat hid under and is listening.
Yeah.
Rachel's listening. He shuffles his feet, kicks Rachel accidentally, and she goes, "Wow!"
Yep.
And then she runs through the Visser 3 hologram, and
so
Visser 3's
you should have killed it.
That's an Andalite. Kill it.
Right.
Like, there's no reason why this cat is in here again. Kill it. And
No, well, he corrects him. He's like, well, actually, wait, hold on, don't kill it. Capture it, because again, we need information.
Yeah, it's
of the other Andalites. So capture this Andalite, obvious Andalite.
Right, and so
because this is obviously an Andalite now.
So, oh god, you should have killed it when I told you to, Innis 226. But Visser, Chapman protested, and yet it all works out to my advantage. Visser 3 said. Now there can be no doubt that this cat is one of the Andalite bandits. Jake, we're busted, I said. We're busted really bad. It's like, we will no longer have to search for the Andalites. So he tells him not to kill it, seize it, before it can morph into Andalite shape. And Chapman tries to seize Rachel, to which we get this. Chapman dived. His hands were wide open, grabbing for me. I was trapped, no way out, no way to open that door and escape. Trapped. No sensible choice but to surrender, but the cat and I were in agreement on this. You never surrender. I felt my claws extend. My pupils were wide, ready to see every tiny movement. My ears were flattened back against my skull. My needle-sharp teeth were bared. My liquid steel muscles were coiled. Chapman's hand seemed to slow down. It was like he was moving in slow motion. Everything seemed slower to my heightened cat senses, only I was moving at normal speed. My paw lashed out. My claws bit flesh. I saw 3 bright red tracks on the back of Chapman's hand. I could smell the blood that flowed. Ah! Chapman howled. He backed away. Get it! Visser 3 shouted. What's going on? Jake wondered. I feel like we're bouncing around a lot. Chapman got a determined look on his face. He came at me again. I was cornered. No way out. I slashed. Chapman cried out. My claws were lacerating him, tearing furrows in his arms and hands. He grabbed me around the middle. The cat and me hated being grabbed that way. Hated it a lot. I brought my teeth into it. I was a 10-pound bundle of lightning fast claws and teeth. Chapman's hand looked like raw hamburger. A magnificent animal, Visser 3 commented. Twist it around. Hold it with your forearm. That's right. And she fucking slashes Chapman real good.
Yeah, it turns his hand into hamburger.
Yeah, just fucking destroys this.
Yeah.
But they capture him. Rachel. Him as in Fluffy McKitter.
Right, and like
Fluffer,
the great thing about this, it really highlights how useless Jake is.
Yeah,
Jake's like,
huh? What's going on?
What's going on? They sent me here to help, and I'm just, what?
Do you want me to suck his blood? It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, Jake's just there just to, like, insert Jake into a situation. He does nothing.
So, she grabs the cat.
Yeah.
Takes the cat upstairs, throws it in the cat box.
Yeah.
Melissa comes down. She's like, what are you doing with my cat? And Visser 3 is like, okay, bring that cat to me. Also, bring me the girl.
Right.
We're putting a yeerk in this girl.
Right. Things have gotten too out of hand here.
Yeah. And
the girl is friends with the cat, so what does that mean?
Yeah, it's like, bring me the girl. We're done playing this.
Yeah.
And so Chapman runs upstairs, and he's like, I have to take the girl. I have to take them Melissa. And at that point, they fucking writhe and fight.
Yeah, like, and this part, like, got me. Right? Because it's the idea of, like, okay, like, so with enough power, like willpower and the power of love, you know, like, they can kind of overtake the yeerk. And, like, they even have, like, they've even recognized this before, it sounds like. Like,
yeah.
Like, let me find some of the quotes here. So, he fell to his knees. He's fighting me. Host rebellion, Miss Chapman muttered under her breath. She seemed horrified and fascinated all at once. Then suddenly her left hand slapped her own face. Mine too. Right, and like,
yeah.
The idea like that she was horrified and fascinated, like, so it's a rare thing. It doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen often because they don't have willful hosts. But the humans are willful.
They're attached to their children for whatever reason.
And she starts to choke her own self. I love that.
Miss Chapman is trying to choke herself with her own hand, which is kind of a rad image.
Right. And they both collapse because Mr. and Mrs. Chapman fought back.
Right. And, like, it's especially important that Miss Chapman tries to, like, just straight up kill herself.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's a redemption story.
Yeah. Because,
right? Yeah. Like, just in the next couple of pages, like, we kind of learned that Miss Chapman voluntarily, like, served herself.
She was a collaborator. She's like, Leah, I'll be a yeerk, and then I'll even get my husband to be a yeerk, too.
Right, and like, we don't know the motivations exactly why she became a collaborator, because I think
she's a collaborator.
It's something that gets revealed later, I'm sure.
Maybe.
Or the reason to even become a collaborator. But, like, it sounds like Mr. Chapman kind of got, like...
He's like, I'll
blackmailed into it.
Yeah, he's like, I'll do it because my wife did it, but don't put one in my daughter.
Right.
Let's just skip ahead.
Yeah.
Chapman takes her in the cat carrier. She's like, jump off me, Jake. We're going to need help. It's fine. I'll stay a cat. I won't tell them anything.
Right.
I will just die. Jake's like, okay, fine, whatever. Jumps off. So they drive there. They go back to the construction site from book 1. And Visser 3's there with some Hork-Bajir and Taxons.
Right.
And he's like...
And bug fighters.
And bug fighters.
Don't forget the bug fighters.
And he's like...
My favorite name of a ship. The bug
The
fighter.
bug fighters. And he's like, ah ha ha, I'm going to fucking kill you, Andalite. And why didn't you bring Melissa? And Innis226, to his credits, like, my host wants to talk to you. Which, I was like, so there's a yeerk who's kind of afraid of his host.
Well, yeah, because, like, he knows that the host can, like, fuck up his situation right now if he wanted.
And the host, like, he lets Chapman talk. He's like, my wife was with you. I'm not. I only agreed to this because you said you're not going to make my daughter into a controller. So, if you make my daughter into a controller, no, I can't kill Innis226. But I can do this in front of people that matter and completely ruin his life.
Hell yeah.
I will ruin him to a point where he will be useless to you if you do this to my daughter.
Yeah.
And Visser 3's like, hell yeah, brother.
So, like Rachel mentions, love is pretty important. It's like wearing a suit of armor. It makes you strong, right? You know, Rachel's very much into the power of love.
Agreed. And if I ever feel love, I'd love to know what that's like.
Right. You would love to know what love feels like.
It'd be good.
Right. He gives up on the idea of putting yeerk in Melissa.
Right.
Right, because he knows that, like, okay, this human does have some leverage here.
Right.
But I'm still a cool badass, so I'm just going to, like, mess up this Andalite.
Right.
Because that's the thing I really care about, because he doesn't really care about the whole take over the planet thing, because he knows it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he knows that that's not the big issue. The big issue are these Andalite resistors. Right?
And, yeah, and we all, like, this is like, okay, fine, whatever.
Right.
I'm going to take this Andalite on my ship. I'm going to fuck it up.
Right.
They go in there, and Rachel hears Jake. She's like, hey, we good? And Rachel's like, bitch, I told you, get off me. What are you doing? And he's like, well, I didn't, because I'm Jake and I don't listen good.
I didn't know what to do for the rest of the story. I'm still a flea.
I sat on you, and also we only got 10 minutes. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, like, all Jake does in this whole scenario is shorten the time limit to turn back into human by, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, they're at the place, the construction site,
yeah.
And an earth mover gets turned on.
Right.
And the Hork-Bajir start shooting at it. They start flipping out, making a scene.
Here comes another riveting action scene that we all care about.
They're just shooting it up.
Yeah.
And finally...
Well, hold on. Like, one of the Taxon, right? So the Taxon, again, are like the centipede-like monsters, right?
They're like, we cannot fly away for 10 minutes. Is that a Taxon voice? Is that a centipede voice?
They don't, like, I'm sure they're not that proper. But,
They're
like,
probably not that proper.
They're probably just like, nah, because they eat each other all the goddamn time. Like, one gets cut in half, and all the Taxons are just like, stop what they're doing, and just like, okay, we gotta eat the other one now, because, like, there's food.
The Taxons are like, the two Taxon pilots are like, it's gonna take 10 minutes to lift off. And Visser 3 is like, fuck that, kills the one who gives him that message, tosses it on the ground, and he goes, you, get us in the air now. The rest of you, eat that piece of shit. Was like, woo.
Yeah.
Visser 3 is fucking hard as shit.
Which is great.
That's, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so...
Gets shit done.
And Jake's like, okay, while the Taxons are eating this, I'm going to jump out, turn human, turn into a tiger. Which, to his credit, he does. I guess that's fine.
Yeah, he does the thing, which is good.
He does that thing, starts attacking. Then Rachel starts turning human in the cat box and busts out of the cat box. And...
like, in secret, because, like, the big deal is that they don't want to let on that, like, they're actually human.
Which, she's not sure if a Hork-Bajir attacks on Sar, which is fine.
Hork-Bajir. So they are the salad shooter.
Salad shooter, knife, dinosaur, bird monsters.
Right. Salad shooter for everyone who's, like, above, like, under the age of 30.
Yeah, they call it a salad shooter.
You'd put, like, lettuce in it and it would shoot out a salad, was the idea. So... They were good. They worked.
They're they're getting away. And that's when Visser 3 is like, no way. He morphs. Visser 3's morphs are the coolest. So let me describe to you.
Please do.
He was 20 feet tall as a telephone pole. He stood on 3 massive legs, each as big around as a redwood tree. He had a tiny head, not much bigger than a human head. He would have looked funny, except there was nothing funny about what he was doing. Yeah, that's funny. 3 giant legs and a tiny human head on top.
Like, no, that's legitimately funny,
With 2 long, mighty arms, he was casually tearing up the concrete. He slammed his fingers into the cement. He ripped it up in slabs and tossed it over his shoulder. One of the slabs hit a Hork-Bajir and crushed him. I don't think Visser 3 even noticed or cared. He's like, I love fucking shit up.
Like, I don't think he's not very good at making plans. He just turns into, like, the craziest shit because he wants to.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care because, he gets shit done.
So Rachel busts out of there, but she can't go human because she'll be seen.
Yeah.
She realizes, like, oh, they're looking right at me. So what happens? Tobias comes and grabs her, saves her cat ass.
Yep.
Flies her to a tree, lets her turn human.
Right.
End of book.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, no, like, they kind of just like, there will be a next time, Tobias said. There will be a next time until the Andalites return.
Yeah, and it's...
Which is like...
they cut to, like, a day later, and it's like, Melissa was at her gymnastics class. She was still alive, still free.
Yeah.
Rachel leaves her a note. And
like, it's honestly, like, kind of a touchy note.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is it? Melissa, your father loves you more than you'll ever know, and more than he can ever show you. Signed, someone who knows.
Yeah, so Melissa knows she's not alone. She's
Right.
got hope again.
Right.
And Tobias is like, there will be a next time.
Right.
Until the Andalites come.
Which is just like, next time on the Animorphs.
Next time on the Animorphs!
Right. But, like, I don't know. I like the kind of touchy note because, like, it goes into, like, again, like, 90s dadhood was very much like, don't show emotions.
Right.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Don't share your shit because it will fuck up your kid if you show any sign of humanity.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, this kind of goes into, like, listen, they feel the feelings, they just won't show them.
Right.
Because they're dealing with their own divorce.
Right.
Not like your kid, like, this is a divorce story,
This is a divorce story, by
like,
far.
Right. So, like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of a good message.
Not
a great ending, but a good message.
No, it was definitely abrupt. Her endings are abrupt. But it's also saying, hey, if everything's bad, maybe there's a cause for hope. Maybe there can be hope in terribleness. Which, I mean, as a kid, I needed to hear that.
Yeah, it's a good message.
Like, when my parents...
As an adult, sometimes we need to hear that shit.
Yeah.
Of just like, listen, sometimes, like, everyone around you is an asshole. Everyone is covered in their own emotional baggage. And it might not be about you in particular.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The people that love you probably still love you. They're just dealing with some shit right now.
They might have a slug in their brain causing them to not love you, but deep down they love you.
Yeah, or let's say that slug is alcoholism. Or let's say that slug is you don't love your spouse anymore.
Or that slug is, why the fuck did you call me?
Dilly-dally.
Stinking thinking. Oh, yeah, let's end it on that venture, brothers.
Yeah, listen, everybody, sometimes people don't hate you because of, like, stinking thinking. Sometimes they hate you because there's a slug in your brain.
Yeah, and, I mean, that's Animorphs, number 2, The Visitor.
Yeah. Did you like it?
It was definitely a lot better than the first one.
Honestly, I loved this book. I hate how much I love Animorphs now because I didn't realize, like, here's the thing that I think we kind of talked about last time is that children's books have a very simplistic message, right? This is very clearly, like, almost an allegory for divorce.
Right.
But, like, as an adult, I appreciate simplistic messages because, it leads into a good moral for, like, an adult to take away, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, there's always something to kind of read into and take away from it, and that's kind of why I took away from Animorphs.
Right.
And reading young adults is a good way to understand your childhood as well. Sometimes, like Harry Potter and shit.
Sometimes Harry Potter and shit, yeah. So, I'm Tyler.
Yeah.
That's Nate.
Yep.
You can find us on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can find Animorphin Time is for this
Animorphin
podcast.
Time. Like, follow it.
If you want.
Follow the 2 people that follow Animorphin Time, Nate and Tyler.
Yeah. You can find us in there. We do a lot of posts.
What's your thing? What's your Twitter handle?
Ufirvo, UFIRVWO. Some letters I threw together playing Star Ocean as a kid, and I have kept forever.
Cool. That's a cool thing.
What's yours? What's your Twitter handle?
Baitenoid.
Batenoid.
Yeah.
Because his name is Nate Boyd. His Twitter handle is Baitenoid.
Very clever.
I'm Tyler. That's Nate. This is Animorphin Time. And remember...
What's her?
All cops are yeerks.
Skimming,
Skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming,
skimming,
skimming, skimming,
skimming,
skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming, skimming. Bitch, I'm skimming like a boss.
Stop.
Can't fuck me up, I got paws.
Stop.
Slash your ass cause I'm a cat.
Yeah.
Dropping your ass, that's where it's at. I'm Rachel, Fluffer, McKitty. Skimming.